Hey everyone, it is Kate Weatherwise, your favorite weather girl, coming to you on Sunday, December 7th. It is about 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, and I'm here to give you another update on what the weather has done, is doing, and is forecasted to do for the next several days. Now, the big weather story is still the Pineapple Express, the atmospheric river that is stretching in from the Pacific and is aimed right at Washington State right now. That's still an active situation. They're still experiencing pretty good rains over in Western Washington, and they will continue to do so when they get over the mountains and over here. What we're experiencing right now in the Spokane area, North Idaho area, is that first wave of rain. And I checked my rain gauge before I started this video, and I have about almost 2/10 of an inch. And by the time this first wave of rain goes through, it's going to be about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a little bit more than that. But we are in our first wave of rain, and then we'll get a little bit of a break. But tomorrow we're going to see some wind along after the rain passes tomorrow, which should be morning until early to mid afternoon, and then the wind comes in after that. And we have a wind advisory for tomorrow afternoon starting at 7 p.m. I think the winds are going to start ramping up a little bit before then, around 5, 6 o'clock. And then the wind advisory levels will kick up around 7 p.m. But those are going to stay a little south of the 9 Mile area and the south and west of 9 Mile, which is generally speaking, when we get storms that bring in wind from the southwest, it really does affect the Spokane area west out to like Ritzville and Moses Lake and those areas, and then south of the 9 Mile area up on the prairie. People who are used to seeing southwest winds, you'll get more affected, but the 9 Mile area is kind of protected a little bit because we had so many hills and so many natural barriers to a lot of southwest winds. We're not going to see those big winds like you will when you're, down in Airway Heights or I-90 traveling west on I-90. That's where you're going to see most of the winds. And that's going to be, like I said, between 7 p.m. They have the wind advisory. The National Weather Service has the wind advisory until 7 a.m. Wednesday morning or Tuesday morning, sorry. So we'll see. I think the bulk of our winds will kick up 20 to 25 miles an hour, gusting to 20 to 25 miles an hour. The sustained winds will probably be 10 to 15 miles an hour from about 5 p.m. until 10 p.m. And then they'll start to back off a little bit, but they're going to be around for a while. And since the ground is not, I don't think it's frozen for the most part. We've had some cold weather, but not super cold weather. So the ground is cold, but it's not frozen cold. So there may be some trees that get a little weak from the wind and with the ground not being frozen. There may be some, like I have a tree out in my front yard. That's a Christmas tree that I cut down from the woods, and that may blow over from the wind. So things like that, loose objects, things like that, that could blow around if you're in an area that gets buffeted by southwest winds. But let's move over to the current radar situation. This is the Spokane radar. As you can see, it says Spokane. The winds are not a factor at this point, but we do have some moderate to heavy rain or moderate rain. The yellow is a good moderate rain. The orange is a heavier rain, and that's pushing east out of Spokane. This should be through our area in the next hour. So I would say about 3 p.m. It'll be completely cleared of the Spokane area, and then maybe 3:30 for all of Spokane, and then this will be pushing into North Idaho, and then through North Idaho by 5, 6 p.m., and then into Montana, where they'll get some rain too, and then higher elevation snow. But if you go over to Seattle radar, they're in between systems today. There's some showers in the mountains, and up in Vancouver on Vancouver Island. But there's not much in the way of rain surrounding Seattle. The winds are kicking up a little bit, but they are going to receive the winds from that next system tomorrow during the day, and then we're going to see it, or tomorrow morning, and then we're going to see it tomorrow late afternoon into the evening and overnight. So I want to bring up the satellite imagery too. You'll get a good picture of this system that pushed through and is pushing through right now. It's moving pretty quickly. And then we're going to take a look at the Pineapple Express. It's just really impressive. And I like to look at it because it just gives you a really good picture of what is actually happening. So let's just go there right now. This is the current satellite imagery of this Pineapple Express. And here's Washington coast right here, and it's just aimed right at us. And this broken back occluded front. This is the cold front that's going to just push all of this moisture straight into us, and then it goes back a good ways, not all the way to the Philippines, but there's a little bit of cloud cover that's coming off of Manila and the Philippines that may try to hook up and create still more of an Arctic River situation. But for now, this is what is coming our way. And once it gets over the Cascades, it'll be a little less pronounced, but it'll still pack some rain. Now, we're going to move over to what is happening currently. I got to push this back a little bit. This is what's going on or forecasted. This is so this is the rain that's coming through right now. And this is expected to be done here through 3 o'clock and then still over. Okay. You're not seeing this at all. Sorry about that. Let me bring this over into frame for you guys. Okay. This is much better. So this is the rain that's moving through right now. There's some snow up in the northern parts of Ferry, Stevens, and Pend Oreille County and over into North Idaho. You guys are experiencing some snow up on the higher peaks, up on the mountaintops, which is good for those ski enthusiasts. And then the rain should be through by about 3 p.m. for the Spokane area. And then through North Idaho around 6, 7 o'clock tonight and push into Montana at this point. So then we're going to dry out. Now tomorrow, the colder air is going to push north. It's going to be about 50 degrees tomorrow, but it's going to be raining all day. All day on Monday, we're going to experience some rain. And our next system is going to come through with a vengeance. What I just showed you with the satellite imagery, that's just pointed right at us. And this is the first part of it. And that's what's going to bring all the wind tomorrow, late afternoon and overnight into Monday night. And I'll show you the winds that are going to pick up here shortly in a minute or so. And so this is the rain. As you can see, there's a lot of rain in Western Washington, but those mountains do a really good job of keeping a lot of that precipitation over there. And then we just get a little bit, a modified amount, which is, I prefer that. I prefer the mountains to block all of that, and we don't get a lot of that rain over here. Now, there's going to be quite a bit of snow in the mountains, which is good, but it's going to be higher elevation snow. And then, as you can see, this is going into Tuesday morning, and I'm going to bring in the wind predictions. This is starting at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. The winds, pretty high winds off the coast. And then, as you can see, it starts to ramp up here. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. Here's where we are. The higher winds stay further south and west, which is typical. And that gets really ramped up around the 4 to 5 o'clock time frame. And then it stays ramped up until about 10, 11 o'clock. And then it starts to back off by about midnight. And then it'll really back off. It's still going to be breezy, but the higher winds are going to back off. But the majority of those higher winds are going to stay down to the south and down to the west. So that's not a bad situation for us. But if you're going to be driving on I-90 to the west overnight tomorrow night or in the evening tomorrow night, just be aware of what's happening. And then you guys over in Idaho, you're going to see some wind too, but it's not as, you don't have that plain situation that we do just south and west of Spokane. So you're going to see some higher winds, but it's going to be mainly at the peaks of the mountains and stuff. So You all, generally speaking, most of the time don't have to worry about when we have those wind events, but this whole area is under a wind advisory for tomorrow evening. So that is what we are looking at. And then the winds die down, and then we'll just be going into the next rain system, which is going to be, this is Tuesday. The next rain system is going to bring in rain on Tuesday afternoon, and then that's going to be with us until Wednesday, early Wednesday morning. That system is going to bring in another 1/4 to 3/10, 4/10 of an inch of rain. And so that's just how it's going to be. Waves of rain for the next little bit. Until about Thursday, Friday timeframe, we will see some rain, and then perhaps it'll cool down just a smidge, enough to be some rain snow mix on Thursday night. But that's still an if and if and if. And if you're going to be at higher elevations, 2,500 feet or so, you may see that more so than if you're below 2,500 feet. So that's still a possibility, but it's just a rain snow mix. It's not going to be anything crazy. But I wanted to highlight that. I put out a weather forecast just to my weather group, but I wanted to put out a forecast for all of Washington State, just especially for the next couple of days, because we do have the wind. We do have that big burst of precipitation coming into Western Washington tomorrow. And then we get the wind for us tomorrow night. So that being said, I will continue to update as needed this week. I will continue to put out daily forecasts for my immediate community. And if you need a more specific forecast from me, just reach out and I will give you a more specific. Say if you're traveling somewhere, anywhere within the state or anywhere within the region, I can give you a more specific forecast. I love to do that. And yeah, that is the weather for the rest of today, Monday and Tuesday, December 9th. And then I will be back for further updates and further forecasts as necessary. All right, guys, this is Kate Weatherwise saying bye for now.